Mr. Wick broke the rules. I trust you understand the repercussions if he survives.
John Wick, excommunicado, is now in effect.
You shouldn't be here. Nice suit.
Good to see you too. I need your help.
After this, we are less than even.
There's no escape for you. The High Table wants your life.
Would you help set the mood for our new guest?
Let us begin. Our services still off limits to me.
What do you need?
Guns. Lots of guns.
Aloha! This is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man, here in Hawaii, island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, live review of John Wick Part 3 Parabellum. And well, without further ado, remember our rating scale. Shock and thumbs up. It's good to see. I recommend it. Shock and thumbs down. It's bad to see. It's junk. I don't recommend it. And for John Wick Part 3 Parabellum, it is a shock and thumbs up. Of course. What did you expect? Part 3 of this series, starring Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne returns, Angelica Houston also makes an appearance, plays an integral role, along with Halle Berry, and of course the infamous Ian McShane as Winston, the owner and manager of the Continental Hotel in New York City, John Wick's friend, who gives him an extra hour, I believe, from Part 2 at the end, and this takes up right at those mere moments afterwards, as in Part 2, because John Wick had killed someone on Continental grounds, you know, a member of the High Table, the entire rulers of this organization of assassins, even above that of the Continental hotels worldwide. He is marked for death, and a bounty of $14 million is put onto his head. You know, everybody in New York, everybody in the world is looking for John Wick to kill him. And Winston, his friend Ian McShane, holds it off, says, hey, give him an extra hour, which allows him, as we pick up Part 3 almost instantaneously at the end of Part 2, where he has made it running out of Central Park there in New York to about downtown, I guess, Times Square almost, as he attempts to make it to the library. You know, the public library there in New York. However, you know, as things, you know, do happen, you know, New York's one of the most congested cities in the world. He has to run there all himself. But fortunately, he gets a taxi for his dog, who is, you know, not on the kill list. You don't get any extra money for killing his dog. So, not this time around. You know, it's only for him. So he sends his dog to the Continental, who can still partake of its services, fortunately. However, he cannot, as he is excommunicadoed from the entire Assassins Guild and the Continental services. Any services, in fact. Be those doctors, you know, arms dealers, So he is truly on his own right at the start of this movie, and boom, it starts off action galore, and it keeps pace all the way through. So yes, it is a definite shock, a thumbs up. And now Keanu Reeves, he's 54, pushing 55, and I can only hope and dream, I think, that I'm able to, at least be as mobile and agile as he is, well in his mid-50s. Gosh, and I'm not even there yet, and there's times I don't want to get out of bed. Let me just tell you. But yes, so, I personally feel that Part 2 was the best of the John Wick movies. Some people still swear by Part 1, and Part 1 was, of course, very, very good. Without that, these other two would not have a leg to stand on, let alone the new series. I'm not sure if it's going to be Netflix or Amazon, but the new series, The Continental, which will go into the hotel and maybe more of the world of assassins. We'll just have to see. But yes, this is definitely, they do some more world building, not as much as I was expecting. John Wick travels to Morocco, to the city of Casablanca, interestingly enough, to get help from Halle Berry, who apparently she had done some type of, she had asked some boon from him long ago. And because he did that for her, she owes him very much in the way that he had owed that manipulative man in Part 2 that drew him out of retirement. And so Halle Berry has no choice but to help John Wick, in fulfillment of, what she owes him. And she and two beautiful German shepherds, go about just that. So perhaps right there, that is where we get some backstory into his love of dogs. Additionally, we see a little bit more of his past with Angelica Houston's character. Essentially, I guess, this Russian oligarch, apparently, very high up there in this Assassin's Guild, although possibly not as high as the High Table. But she's very prominent and very much like Lawrence Fishburne's character. Those two are probably on equal. However, apparently he was orphaned as a child, John Wick, and she takes him in, and she had raised him, so that's why he's so good, taught him fighting, hand to hand, you name it, all from this woman and her, inner or subsection of this Assassin's Guild, association that Angelica Houston runs, to make the best of the best, assassins, artists, etc. But in helping him, because he goes to her for help, essentially his mother almost, that puts her in great, great danger as well. And everyone who had helped him, from that you'd seen also from this movie and Part 2, is now put on the hit list, or at least in the sights of the assassins, who are now after John Wick, and they'll do anything to get him. Which brings us to what can take on the Baba Yaga himself. How about some ninjas? And these aren't your ordinary everyday ninjas. These are some super ninjas. Let me just tell you. One of them, one of the ninjas, head ninjas, taskman or henchman, is the guy who is the villain and also was in Part 2 of the raid. But I'm talking about the guy who killed, that police chief guy, and oh man, he's like on fire, and he goes toe to toe with John Wick, and John Wick just barely survives. Let me just tell you that. But yeah, it's, you know, there the fight scenes in this, the gun fu that you say, that they say, goes on considerably in this movie. Each of these movies are taking it a step further. You know, maybe that stretches your, you know, believability of it, but no problem for me and the rest of the audience who are cheering. The entire time watching this movie, everybody felt shaka thumbs up all the way with this movie. It was amazing and glorious, and you just got to see it to believe it. And I will tell you that there is a possibility of a part 4. I really thought that maybe 3 would be the conclusion. We'd get like maybe some type of resolution with everything. Nope, it's still all out there. And yeah, it's wide open for part 4. I don't know if it's going to delve into the series at all with this. Maybe possibly mentioned Ian McShane's character, possibly you know, Keanu Reeves' character, John Wick himself, will be mentioned in the show. It's said that he might make a guest appearance every once in a while in the show, so it will be definitely interesting to see. And, you know, no word yet on a part 4, but definitely the door is wide open for this continuation in this world, and continuing to open the door wider to see the rest of the world. Because as much as they show you in this, there's still so much more to uncover, so many more mysteries. But they do, you know, shed a little bit of light on it. Definitely more than part 1 and part 2. As you've just seen the door creak open in part 2, it gets a little wider, but still not open all the way. So maybe in part 4. Because honestly, what I was expecting in this movie was for him to go after directly the high table members, maybe the head honcho of the high table, to, you know, to get the bounty off his head, maybe take over, become the head honcho himself, just to walk away from it at the end, saying, hey, leave me alone, and, you know, you can go about your business and do whatever you want. But it didn't work out like that. So it went beyond my expectations, really, you know, beyond what I had expected, which is good. And which is another reason for a strong shaka thumbs up. Keanu's on fire in this movie, in this role, and, you know, a mid-50 action star. Absolutely amazing. All right, thank you so much, and aloha. Go see John Wick. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.